Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 17th episode of the 5 Minute Major podcast of St. Louis. We hope you guys had a great week. We did. Hockey was amazing, as it always is. Plenty to talk about. Just as Blues fans, we're happy, man. Great past 5-6 games under Monty. The Blues look good. We're trying to bring it back. We're finally at 500. That's good stuff. We're going to break down some league stuff as we always do, then the Blues recaps. We're going to stir the pot a little bit with some trades that we might have under our sleeves. And we have a couple ad reads from local businesses from our friends. We love these guys. We just wanted to shout them out for sure, so you'll hear from that. And yeah, Josh, how you doing, buddy?
Good. It was a good week. I can't complain. Good work and great hockey. So I'm excited. I think we got a lot to talk about in the NHL. Some big moves, some questionable moves in my opinion, but I'm looking forward to this and happy to be here, guys. And we love talking hockey, and I think we're gonna have a good little episode for you.
Yeah, very interesting moves.
For sure.
Screw it, we're gonna hop right into it around the league news. Everyone knows the Rangers were chirping about making some moves. They mentioned Kreider, they mentioned Trouba, they've mentioned even Zibanejad. And finally, for the third, I think this is the third captain in a row in the middle of the season that they've traded away. I could be wrong, but I know that this is the third captain in recent years that they've traded, just in general.
Yeah.
Jacob Trouba to the Anaheim Ducks. They got, I can't even pronounce his name, starts with a V. And a first-round pick. And Anaheim retained or took on the entire $8 million contract.
What are you doing, Anaheim? I am so confused by this because clearly you were not thinking. You traded it, but New York also took a defenseman that it's kind of a question mark. So first round pick, yes, but
amazing.
Yeah, that I will give you props for the first round pick.
It doesn't even matter the player they got back, who's a young defenseman, which is fine. They got a first round pick and they don't have the contract anymore.
Yep.
Like Anaheim took it on completely. New York has all of the space. It's unreal. Now Anaheim has two of the biggest brute headhunter elbow defensemen in the league with Gudas and Trouba. That's a nutty defensive line. I mean, honestly, it's not bad. I wouldn't hate it. I'd love it as like my second or third defensive pair, not my first, but it's the Ducks.
Yeah. I mean,
they're just a weirdly managed team. Like,
yeah, because what does that give you? You traded Drysdale. You've gotten bigger as a defensive group in Anaheim, and I mean, Trouba's still very serviceable. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good defenseman that I think was in a very terrible situation with the Rangers. The Rangers seem to be burning down right now, and I don't understand it because in New York, you have a great market. You're supposed to have a good team, but it seems guys don't click there. Tarasenko did not click there, and that's why he left immediately. Like, Sammy Blais was there, came back, went back, didn't work. Pavel Buchnevich, I don't think was a thriving forward on that team, hence the reason we were able to pull him for a Sammy Blais. Yeah. But I think this is the biggest thing is that players are not thriving with the Rangers, and I think you either got to decide we're tearing it down, going young, or do this retool kind of that the Blues are in, because right now what they're doing is not working, and young players are not growing and maturing.
Yeah, and the Rangers are so interesting because they've been so good in recent years, and they have amazing superstar talent, but their secondary guys are kind of just not there, and it's weird. Like, I can't imagine trading away your captain 3 captains in a row. It's interesting. No. We've done it, of course, with like Eric Brewer, so on and so forth, but Eric Brewer isn't Jacob Trouba. Yeah. We'll see. Like, even you say in our notes here, he could be flipped again for some picks if Anaheim's smart. If Anaheim is smart. Is Anaheim smart? Probably not.
But that means they're going to have to eat salary. Like, yeah. This is the thing. I mean, I guess Anaheim at this state is like, we're not in a win now mode.
They haven't been in years. No, they're far behind their timeline, at least the timeline they should be on, which is recreating a championship team that they had in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just not available right now. They're going to have to retain some of Truba's salary. They're probably going to have to do it with Gibson and Fowler and whoever else they get rid of, even Zegras if that's a thing. Just who knows? Such an interesting team right now. Just a weird trade,
Yeah.
bad trade, I think, for Anaheim. New York got bailed out. They got bailed out 8 million. You know what they do? They go out and they get Igor extended 8 years, 11.5 million a year for a goaltender. Obviously the highest paid goaltender in league history. This is the same deal he denied earlier in the year. Maybe he's the reason that Trouba's gone. You put two and two together. It's
Yeah.
probably not true. I don't want to put that on Igor. He is kind of a little hothead, but he's a really good goalie. And if you're the New York Rangers, you're probably listening to his every need.
Yeah.
And they got him. He's signed forever now, like for a lot of money, though.
Yeah,
And how do
which
you build around it?
that's the thing that I think the rumors are still around. Are you moving Kreider? Are you moving Zibanejad? And with those two guys, are you moving them to bring in Brady Tkachuk? So there are these rumors that Brady Tkachuk could be going to the Islanders too, but the Ottawa's like,
The Rangers.
yeah, the Rangers. Sorry, but then Ottawa. I mean, what are you expecting in return for Brady Tkachuk? Are you willing to give up your captain?
Right.
And this is such a weird NHL where people are willing to trade their captain in the middle of the season. You let him keep the C. You said he was staying put. You said he was the leader, and then you stab him in the back, and then you also threaten that you're going to waive him. So, like, I'm sorry. Like, this is a prime example. The Blues organization does not do this.
No.
And even when issues were happening with Torrey Krug, I don't think there was ever a threat or intent that we're like, all right, we'll waive you. No.
Why would we do that?
Like,
We
at
were
that
never in
point,
the position, you know?
you suck it up and you just kind of deal with it.
That's right. Just such an interesting situation. New York is wild. I
Yeah.
can't, like, I didn't think they were going to do anything like this. I don't even think they're that bad right now. Like,
No.
as bad as you could be with
Unless
the
it's a
team you
locker
have.
room. It's a locker room issue, I think.
Well, that's what I feel like we talked about with Boston in the last episode. It's the players being really weird about coaches and players and like who stays, who goes. And we'll mention a guy from there later on in this podcast that could possibly go. It's just a weird dynamic, and that's just how things work with human beings.
Yeah.
Just in
Ain't that
general.
the truth?
Sometimes you just don't click as a person, like in general.
Yeah.
All right, last thing I'm going to talk about, and then Josh will take over for around the league. We're kind of milking this clock. Huh? Tom Wilson, absolute hashtag hockey guy, dude. Gets hit in the face with a puck. His face is out to here. If you can see me on the video, it's an extended face. Literally, he can't breathe. His sinuses are closed up. He goes back out there, no face mask, bubble mask. Scores the game tying goal, scores the game winning goal, and the Capitals win the game. And they lead the Eastern Conference with 40 points. That's tied for the league lead in points.
Yeah.
Just the wildest turnaround team story. They sucked last year and barely made the playoffs. God knows how. And now they're just out for blood this year. They look crazy good. They're probably my favorite team to watch in the league. And Tom Wilson is the perfect player you want on your hockey team. And
Yeah.
he showed why. Just nuts.
You hate him when he's not on your team. You love him when he plays for you. That is the simple thing of Tom Wilson. Good, better, and different. Can be a dirty player at times, but the man plays with grit, and I can't complain. So, like, good for him. Good for him to power through that. And all I'm going to say is the power of Pierre-Luc Dubois. Okay,
my breakout player. Hey, you pick up some guys that know how to at least play the game in a positionally sound way. You know, you got Dylan Strome, who's just been the best player on the ice every night for them. Blackhawks fans have to be seething that he's not a Blackhawk anymore. Just crazy, man.
Yeah.
And Chychrun. They got Chychrun for a bag of pucks. I'm gonna mute that one out. They got him out for a bag. They got him for a bag of pucks. Just like unflippin' believable.
Yeah.
Their team. We mentioned it that their team was built pretty well before the season started. We said, maybe a wild card team, first in the league.
Yeah, predictions are biting us in the butt right now. I will say.
Hey, at least Winnipeg's starting to lose again. You know.
Oh yeah.
They're on a little skid, so I don't know.
All righty. Well, jumping into the Four Nations rosters have been announced. I think the biggest thing, some big name players left off the roster, starting with Canada. Stamkos, Bedard, Suzuki, not on the roster. Bedard, I think, kind of said it well. He goes, "I made the bed. Now I gotta sleep in it." Like he
Right.
has not had a great season, so in my opinion, did not deserve to be on that team. Stamkos, I think, for the point in his career and the season he's have, I think that's the right move as well. Suzuki, I'm a little questionable because I mean he is a good center, but didn't there? It's a loaded team. Okay,
Oh yeah.
Canada's stacked. Now jumping to USA, I'm only really surprised. Caulfield having a good season, but still too young, too small for the type of game I think they're wanting to play. They went with an older roster
Mm.
with Kreider and guys like that. And then I love that Kyle Connor got a shot. But the other one, Tage Thompson, I don't know. I don't know what is the disconnect and why he's not on this. I mean, he's had a struggling season with some injuries, but I think he would have been a valuable member. So that being said, it'll be an interesting to see how this Four Nations rosters play out in this round robin play. Hopefully, guys stay healthy. The Blues did get two players on those rosters, being Bennington, which should be the starting goalie for Canada. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here. Everyone needs to shut up that Colton Parayko is not a good enough defenseman. He deserves to be on the Four Nations roster. He is only proving everyone wrong this season. He looks great. His skating is improved. He is everything I wanted as a defenseman this year and more. And I think the Broberg Parayko pairing is just showing the league he can make anyone look better around him. But when he has someone that can help elevate him, he is lights out, one of the best puck moving big men. He is big, and I love to see this. So, that being said, there's my little soapbox I'm going to step off of. But Colton deserved that spot, in my opinion. And I know I'm a Blues fan and I'm a little biased, but from a hockey perspective, he is having a great season.
Yeah, and I want to chime in. There's plenty of Twitter warriors talking about how he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
These people just look at the box scores, man. We watch this guy every single day. We understand who he is, and what he does. He has the best stick in the game. He blocks so many shots. He breaks up so many plays with his length. It's disgusting how lucky we are
Yeah.
to have this guy. And he's been here forever, and he's gonna be here forever. Like, there's no way Parayko was in a lifetime blue. Just craziness. And Bennington's starting. Sorry, not sorry. Hop into the next one, bud.
All right. So some rumors floating around that we saw on Twitter. Larkin requesting a trade out of Detroit, which was later disproved as
Yeah.
a false tweet. That being said, there's always that rumor mill. There's always this churning of things. I don't think Larkin would want out of Detroit, but if he would, it's definitely going to be a high price and going to a team that is competing to win a Stanley Cup. And with that, he comes with a heavy salary hit. So it's not going to be an easy move. It could be for a middle tier team. Hint, hint, Blues would love that guy on this team. Won't happen, but would be great. Dylan Larkin, he'll be staying put. He's a Detroit player. He loves the town. He loves the city.
He's from there. He went to
Yeah.
Michigan U. He's literally a Michigan guy from birth. There's
Yeah.
no way he's leaving. I don't know who the hell tweeted that out. Some Detroit page, you know how it is. They're
Yeah.
struggling. People start throwing rumors out there. Dylan Larkin's never gonna leave
No.
unless Stevie Wise says, "Oh, we're getting 3 first-round picks and like the best prospect in the game." Sure, yeah, you can take that salary off my hands, but there's no way. Yeah, craziness. All right. Before we hop into recent Blues games, I want to talk to you guys about Skate St. Louis. This is from my dear friend Augustin Boydell and his friend Brendan Religa. Do you love skating but hate having to drive out of your way to have fun? Skate St. Louis can help. Skate St. Louis is a locally owned roller skating operation designed to bring unique activities directly to you. Created by co-owners Augustin Boydell and Brendan Religa, Skate St. Louis provides skates, safety, and entertainment equipment for all ages by turning parking lots, indoor facilities, parks, greenways, and more into amazing roller skating experiences. Go to www.skatestl.com. Email them at contact@skatestl.com or call/text them at 314-745-6096 for more details. Remember, support local St. Louis businesses, y'all.
Yeah, guys, great company, great owners. I cannot say enough about how much I love this company and what they do for our community. I think the biggest thing, yes, it's a business, but the impact they are having on our community, to our youth, our
Yes.
schools, and to us adults. They are for everyone, and they provide a wide variety of opportunities to just get outside and be healthy. And we can't say enough about how much we love this company and the support we have for them.
Yep. Absolutely, Josh. All right, let's go into the past few games with the Blues. We made it up to Canada. We made a little noise. We got a little dumbed down there at the end in Edmonton, but the Blues started off their road trip in Winnipeg. We went into this game hoping they'd just get a point. We came out of this game thinking we were going to take on the entire world. The Blues won 4-1 in Winnipeg. Just absolutely dominated.
Yeah,
Absolutely dominated.
phenomenal game. Like,
Kyrou, Holloway, Kyrou again, and then Thomas with an empty netter. Shifley scored for the Jets. It doesn't matter. So we had 2 goals from our superstar. Holloway extends his point streak. This kid is just disgustingly on a tear.
yeah, I
And
think it's safe to say Holloway is just much of a steal as Broberg is at this point. So
I think
suck
he's
it, Edmonton.
more.
I'm sorry, you guys suck. Like, Holloway is fantastic and only getting better, and it just took opportunity,
Yeah.
and that's
You know,
all he needed.
and that's unfortunate for them, and kind of unfortunate for us later on. Takeaways from the game: Hofer was unreal. 22 saves on 23 shots. That's a low amount of shots, but a great amount of saves. Good for him. Again, Holloway stays hot, goal and an assist in this game. And then Montgomery, man, this guy, like, it's almost like we feel like we can do the thing, like we can go and do the dang thing. Just he influences overall effort on the defensive and the offensive end. Josh mentioned in the last podcast, like this team is, I think, first or near first in the league in the last 6 games with goals against. It's like under 1.7. Like
Yeah,
we're just unreal defensively, and we're scoring over 3 goals a game. It's nuts. It's a complete turnaround of the team. We're taking on one of the best teams in the league, probably the best team in the Central behind Minnesota, I guess you could say, and we're
yeah,
dominating them at home. Incredible stuff.
yeah. I can't say enough, and I think a lot of props have to go to Hofer. Hofer played a great game
Mm,
too. This was a hard fought game, and for the Blues to put 4 goals up in this game is unbelievable. And they did it with a new style of play. Joey Vitale's talked about this. The Montgomery style of play is 2 men in front of the net. We're looking for tips. We're looking for dirty goals. We're getting to the nitty gritty area, and that's the Pavel Buchneviches, the Jake Neighbors who have been doing it, the Holloways. We are pushing to the dirty areas, making high danger chances, like truthfully, just high danger chances. And we're finally capitalizing. And I think a lot of that's coming off of confident players who believe in their coach, who is a coach that believes in them. And I think having those two together makes your team very competitive and very hard to play against. And I am super happy with the Blues that we are seeing. And we'll talk about the Oilers game. I'm not mad at this point about this road trip. We talked about this. We need 3 wins, and we kind of planned for 1 loss on this road trip. So the Vancouver game is going to be a huge one.
yeah. And you said it best. If you put 2 and 2 together with a good coach who's getting his message across and the players taking it and running with it, it's a competitive hockey team.
Yes.
It doesn't even matter who's on the team. Like, look at the
Yeah.
Sharks. They just went on a run. They're like kind of close to us in the standings, which is nuts. Like, all it takes is like 1 or 2 guys to just start going, and the rest of the team starts going after that. And
Yeah.
it's great. Like, and Doug Armstrong laid it out. He said, let's be competitive. And that's the reason he went out and got Montgomery. He said
Yeah.
he promised the fans that we were going to be competitive, and we weren't. And now we are again. And like, you can't be mad as a fan base. Like,
No.
we're 500. I mean, after this game, we were catching up to 500, but we're officially 500 now, just after these few games. And like, let's go, man! One more on this road trip. Like you said, Vancouver's huge game. They've been doing all right, but I think we can do better in
Yeah,
Vancouver.
and I think the other thing that we didn't mention, right before this game, we found out Justin Falk was not going to be in the lineup.
Right.
So you
Good
had
call.
Scott Perunovich, who was going to be coming out of the lineup, or PO that was coming out, and they ended up playing pretty solid games. Scotty P has really stepped up, and I will give him some props. We have really talked about how we needed more from him, and Scott P has definitely stepped up and improved his game, and I think he's kind of doing it in a way that may save him in the long run, in my opinion. Um, Either the Blues will keep him, or you could see him getting a decent return to a team that wants a guy that just needs an opportunity. He's becoming better, and
Yeah.
I think that may be coming from Jim Montgomery. So
I
we'll
I
see.
don't even think you can like give the credit to almost anybody else.
Yeah,
You know, if he's finally getting some minutes, even when he only played like 10 minutes, he had the freaking flu, filled in for Falk, got 2 points and was a +3.
yeah,
Well, I mean, what are we talking about? You keep him in the lineup at that point. Good for him.
yeah,
You know, we've given him so much crap, so much. He's finally getting his time. He's producing as an offensive defenseman, which is exactly what he is. And we'll see. He was a stud college hockey player.
yeah.
Let's translate it to the NHL officially. It's been too long, and now is your big shot. Especially if we, do a little tradey as we're going to talk about later. So we'll see. All right. Next game, Blues still in Canada. We traveled just a few hours down the road to Calgary. Just wild game.
Yeah.
We ended up winning 4-3. Bennington was Bennington, like absolutely locked in. He saved us the game,
Yeah.
literally. Bolduc continues to score. He had a power play goal. Thomas again with a rip ski too. Beauty. Boosh finally puts one in. He's been producing on and off. It's better, a lot better since he's been on the wing. We can't really poop on him anymore. And then Pareko overtime winning goal, which was controversial, but it really wasn't. It just took way too long to say it was a goal. Like, I don't even think we should talk about it
No,
personally.
yeah, wait.
Flames had Petelier or Pelletier. Don't know how to
Yeah,
pronounce his name. Coronado and Uyghur, which we love Uyghur, so good for him.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Bolduc continues to impress. Bennington was unbelievable, and Holloway assisted on one of those goals, so he extended his point streak to 5 games. This kid is disgusting. He's involved in every play. He's
I love it.
speedy. He drives the play. Like, you can put him on the fourth line, he might produce a point. Like, maybe do it because we need some goals from Torpchenko. Like, best player on the ice. Besides, maybe Pareko and
Yeah.
Broberg, you maybe toss it up.
It's one
Best
of those.
forward on the ice.
Yeah, and I think for him, um, underappreciated how good his skating is.
So good.
And then there's been lots of talk about he wants to be a prominent player on this team. He wants to be a key player. And Monty has talked about there was a press conference. They were doing interviews. They heard this noise in the background, and Monty's like, "Oh, it's probably Holloway getting some shots in." Jeremy Rutherford brings this up and goes to one of the media relation guys and goes, "Hey, who's back there shooting?" It was Dylan Holloway. This man is always on the ice early, on the ice late. He is putting in the effort to be a dominant player, and that to me is a guy that I want on my team, and that is a guy that will contribute when the going gets tough, and then when the team is at the highest point of power mode, he's only going to help you more. So
Yeah.
to my opinion, I love Holloway. I think Holloway is going to be a steal long term, and I think we're going to talk about some potential options down the road here about what he looks like and what he needs as a contract extension. But
Yeah.
huge game. Another point, Colton Pareko driving the net, deserves a spot in the Four Nations roster. Oh, wait, he got one. All right, thank you. Continue.
Yeah. Basically, him and Bennington got named to the roster like in between these two games. They came out this game and pretty much drove the game. Like
Yeah.
Bennington seriously looked Stanley Cup final
Yeah.
Bennington as he almost always does, but this game was just literally game saving.
Yeah.
36 saves on 39 shots against a Flames team that truly was all over us. Truly.
They're
Uh
honestly a good team. I will say they have their flaws, but they have a lot going for them.
oh yeah, good
And
for them.
I think the
Wild card
thing
spot.
Mackenzie Weegar is a stud.
Dude.
Like he's a game changer defenseman, and I don't care like what you have to say. He might not be the most lights out defenseman all the time, but offensively and in zone, he has the puck, and you hear his name every other player because he quick pass back. He moves the puck. He sees the ice better than most defensemen in the NHL, and Mackenzie Weegar deserves that praise. So I will give him that shout out because he deserves it. Quality defenseman with phenomenal offensive mindset. It's great, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he almost reminds me of like a prime Eric Carlson, the way
Yeah,
he kind of drove the play offensively. But, even back then, Carlson was okay at defense. Like, I think Uyghur's way better
yeah,
on defense than Carlson was.
yeah,
Just Carlson's a glorified forward. um, Uyghur's just unreal on both sides of the puck. And honestly, Vladar had a good game too. You got to give it to him. Their goaltending's been crazy good in Calgary, and ours was just better. And it doesn't surprise me. Like, I'm almost unsurprised when I see Bennington make almost 40 saves. It's like, oh, you made 40 saves. Great. Thanks. We won by 1 goal. Appreciate it. But just good for us. Again, great, huge, gritty win. We really needed it in overtime. I was like, oh my God, we stole a point. Oh my God, we won this game. Thank God, against a team that's in the wild card spot that we want to take. That's 2 in a row in Canada. That would make it 3-0-1 under Monty, I think. No,
yeah.
4-0-1 under Monty.
4-1.
Sorry. Going into Edmonton. And honestly, we had all the confidence in the world going into this game. How can you blame us as Blues fans or even players? You're like, let's do this thing against the best players in the world.
Yeah,
Um, didn't really look great. I'd say most of this game we were down 3-0 going into the third. We ended up bringing it back 3-2 on a Holloway goal, and then a Neighbors power play goal. Perry scored on kind of a mishap play. McDavid scored on a turnover. Hyman power play. Edmonton's power play is disgusting. And then the fourth goal, after we made it 3-2, Bennington's got to make that save. It was not through traffic. It was a seeing eye kind of shot under the blocker. He just missed it.
yeah,
Not a good goal. Completely ruined the momentum. That was the difference. Technically, right? Just killed the momentum. We could have came back. We did. Just a loss. That's okay. 2-1 on the road trip right now, going into Vancouver. Holloway on a 6-game point streak going into Vancouver. Can't stop talking about him.
no,
It's
and
ridiculous.
and that's the thing. And I think my comment for the takeaways here is it was not a bad game, but they got to clean up some stuff. And
100%.
I mean, Broberg with the turnover to McDavid in the center of the ice. I mean,
Bad.
99.9% of the time, McDavid's going to make you pay for that.
Of course.
And it was a ripper through the 5-hole that no goalie saving that. It's McDavid. Come on. But that being said, historically the Blues have played McDavid relatively well.
Actually, the best in the league, I think. We've
Yeah,
held them
I think
to
we
the closest to 1 point per game out of all the teams in the league.
yeah.
That we're literally number one against him.
The thing I will say in observing the game and watching Edmonton fans, all right, I get you're pissed off about Broberg, but to boo him every single time he touched the puck, good.
I didn't even notice that. Like,
Oh,
I didn't watch the game like that. I had it on mute.
oh yeah, no. Every time he touched the puck, boos
That's
from
wild.
everyone. He got hit. They cheered when he was on the ground.
That's
Like
wild.
Blues fans, I think as an organization we've had some bad breakups with some players, but I don't think we've ever had a super ill manner about when they come back.
We always booed our own players. Like when we traded Shanny for Pronger, everyone hated Pronger
Yeah,
because of it, and they booed him for like a season. Shit, we just booed Kyrou last year.
yeah,
Like, it's never an opposing player unless it's like you just took our guy's head off, like
yeah.
during the game. It's never premeditated.
Yeah, and I was like, I think Patrick Kane, if we're going back to any player, but he did. It's
Yeah.
talk. I think in retrospect, it's just everyone that's worn the blue note are forever a blue. Like, I'm sorry, you're still welcome back, and we love you. And I think even Eric Johnson, who was not the
Oh,
first round pick that we thought he was going to be, still loved in this town. So
he's played over 1,000 games
yeah,
in the NHL and has a Stanley Cup. Like,
yeah,
legend. Still.
yeah. So it'll be one of those cool approaches that I think going forward, I'm interested to see how Edmonton handles this. I do not think they was hard on Dylan Holloway, but in all retrospect, I think Dylan Holloway was a little more quiet about how he came out and talked about the process of leaving the team. Broberg was pretty blunt about, I wanted out, I want a new opportunity, and clearly he just needed an opportunity, and he is a superstar.
And he got a lot more money.
Yes.
If you're getting paid like 200% more than you are, why wouldn't you just take it?
Yeah.
You're so young, you have no ties. You're from
Yeah.
Sweden, for Christ's sake. Just take the money.
Yeah.
So Edmonton fans can't be that mad about it. It's your GM's fault for not managing the money well. Like,
You didn't have to go spend the money on a Skinner. You didn't have to go spend the money on a
exactly.
Victor Arvidsson. You could have re-signed your players,
Exactly.
but you went out and signed those guys. And right
Yeah.
now it's looking kind of dumb because I think a Dylan Holloway would have been playing up your lineup and a Broberg would have substantially helped your defensive core.
Yeah. And not saying they're still not, gonna
They're a
make
solid team.
moves and contend. Like they made it to the Game 7 of the Cup Finals last year. A lot of people, 95% of analysts, picked them to win this year.
Yeah.
Just they'll make it. We'll see if they make a splash. Again, forever and ever, so many teams. They're just missing a couple things.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of kind of picking up players to make your team better, let's see what Josh and I have for you guys for some Blues trades. We're just trying to stir it up a little bit. There's some players that are possibly eligible to bring in either some prospects or some picks or an NHL rated defenseman to make us better,
Yeah.
I want to start with Sod because I am obviously a diehard Sod fan. Like, I have his signed jersey behind me if you can't see it. Super nice guy, great American player. He's been so good for so long, just a 20-goal specialist. But right now, doesn't feel like he fits in right now. And honestly, any contending team would be begging for a guy like him to play third line wing minutes and score some playoff goals because he's done it before.
Yeah.
He dominated us when he was on Colorado. He won Stanley Cup, or I think one or two with Chicago. He
Yeah.
knows what to do. And honestly, I'd like to keep him. But if we were to shop him, maybe you package together with a pick, you package him together with a Letty, you can bring in like a younger, big, beefy defenseman like Keandre Miller. And there's rumors that Keandre Miller wants out. And there's rumors that their agent, who's also the agent of Barclay Goodrow, they say, he wants more money. And we want New York to pay him more money. And he's had a bad year.
Yeah.
Let's not put that aside. We're not saying we're stealing Keandre Miller from the Rangers because honestly, half the fan base wants him out anyway.
Yeah.
He's been really bad. And Josh, you mentioned this before we started recording. Maybe he just wants out. Maybe he just
Yeah.
needs new scenery,
Yeah.
like Broberg. Broberg got the money. He's here. He's playing first line defensive pair minutes, and he's dominating.
Yeah.
And I think Keandre Miller could also be a guy like that. And I don't know what it would take. Obviously, New York seems to be on a crazy hunt to have people just take salary straight up and get a first round pick. Are you willing to make that play? Are you willing to make a trade like that. It's just up to Doug Armstrong. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's going to do anything just in general. This is all speculation.
Yeah. If it's anything, it's a minor deal and it's
Yeah.
to just bolster this team a little bit with some depth. Here's the thing. If we're in contention, I find it very hard that we move Sod. A lot of these deals, like we talk about, revolve around the Blues being out of contention and tanking. But
Not tanking, just
just
knowing you're out
yeah,
and
you're
making moves to get money out off the books and bring in young guys or
yeah,
more picks to bring in more young guys.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Because let's be honest, the cupboard is bare in draft picks right now because we had to spend
This
some
next
to
year's
get
for sure.
Broberg and Holloway.
Right.
So Sod could get you a decent number of picks in return. Letty, I think, could get you some middle tier picks as well. The other two guys that we do have as potential trade candidates, I'll take Texier. Texier, where do I begin? Given opportunities early in the season, played great, got injured, has struggled to find that flow since coming back. That being said, he's been given some opportunities with Monty. Still isn't running away with it. Texier is a great depth piece, and I will give him that. But you look at the system and coming up, do you want to block players? So Texier, I don't know if he gets much of a return. Is he going to a middling tier team or a lower end team where he just needs minutes and whatever he plays is how he plays? That may be what he needs. He kind of, to me, is a Kasperi Kapanen 2.0. He is what he is. He has glimpses of looking like a phenomenal player. He can play up and down your lineup, but he's not a superstar. He's a role player that you want more, but he's a role player that's tiny. He doesn't bring a physical game, but he has a heck of a shot. So I don't know what the future holds for Texier. I don't know what the future holds in St. Louis. Could see him as a bargaining piece at the deadline with a package if we're trying to move some salary and bring some players in.
Yeah, and you mentioned it that he could just get traded to some lower tier team. He gets 15 minutes a night. He, scores 30 points a season, and there you go. He's got his spot in the league. Um, I think it's best to just do it.
Yeah,
This is probably the one player on our list that should be dealt just for anything, maybe just a pick. Like,
yeah,
unfortunately, I was so excited for Dexier. I hope to God that he somehow slides in. You never know. Um, I hope it's not because of an injury or anything. I just hope that he finds his way in St. Louis. And if it isn't, I hope he finds his way somewhere else
yeah,
because I think he really is a good player. He's
yeah,
actually probably the best French player in the league in a long time.
yeah,
So we'll see. Um, let's talk about Falk a little bit. Hurt again for a little bit, came back. First game in the lineup, we lose again. We have a better record without him. It's wild to think about. I
he
don't
has.
know. I don't know if that's because the games played without him is a lot less than with him. That's probably the case, but even then, it's like a 62% win percentage versus like a 54% win percentage. That's kind of
Yeah,
a lot. Um, he just hasn't been himself in 3 years. Like, I remember the year after we got him, I was like, this guy is amazing. Then he started getting hurt, and I'm sure he's still playing hurt. It's just the way it is. Um, I don't know what you could get for him. Like maybe you get a lower round pick and that's it. Like, I mean, I'm sure a playoff team would be like healthy scratch on a playoff team. Heck yeah, we'll take him. I think Falk is worth more than that personally. I think
yeah,
he should be on this team. I just hope he can stay healthy again because early, like preseason of this year, I was like, this guy's locked and loaded.
yeah. Beginning of the season,
Broberg
he was
got,
locked and loaded.
and then Broberg got hurt and he started deteriorating again because he didn't have someone next to him that was of that caliber. And
Yeah,
I don't think he's of the same like stature to carry a line by himself anymore. He
yeah,
needs someone like Broberg or even Well, no, I wouldn't say Perunovic. Just someone that has a left-handed shot that can do everything with speed, and he can be more of a stay-at-home guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And we're not saying Falk is bad. I
No,
think our perspective is that we've seen Falk play at such a higher level than he's played in the past couple of seasons. And I don't know if Father Time's just catching up to him or what. But we also had these discussions about Colton Parayko a couple years back where Colton was just not the same player. And it was a back injury. It was a lingering injury that just could not get fixed until it just 2 years down the road. That being said, I think it's very hard to move Falk. He is going into, I think next year he'll have a limited no trade clause. He does have a full no trade currently. Um, so Falk would definitely have to waive his no trade clause at this point to get out of here. He is a good leader in the locker room. I do believe that full heartedly. Um, give it some time. I think Falk with Monty will find a good fit. He did play the third pairing with Scott Perunovic. Your second pairing the other night per FanDuel Sports was Suter and Kessel. And here's the thing: Suter, who is 39, is noticeable on the ice. Yes, he has moments of not playing great, but Suter plays with a grit. I think if Falk can take some stuff from Suter and kind of even it out, he's still a good two-way defenseman. So I'm not here to say Falk's going, but Falk is a guy that I think with a $6.5, $7 million cap hit, that money could be spent in other spaces or on a defenseman that's in free agency. That could be a game changer for this team. So interested to see what could happen. And wrapping it up, I think a rumor that we've kind of heard multiple places, wouldn't be surprised if this happens, would add some depth on the wing or center position. Trent Frederick, St. Louis homeboy, playing in Boston right now. I think there's issues in that locker room. I think he is due for a little bit of a pay bump, and a team that's kind of confused on where they're at is going to have to spend some money to fix them. Would not be surprised if Trent Frederick ended up wearing a blue note by the end of the season or going into next season, in my opinion. I think that's my hot take. Trent Frederick will be a blue at some point.
yeah. I honestly don't know what like Boston is the most confusing franchise, I
Yeah.
think. Like they are so good, but they seem to struggle and make these moves that I don't think they need to. Um, they're like 7-3 in their last 10, and I genuinely think they would have done that under Monty. It's
Yeah.
just they have the same team and they play the same way. Sweeney and Neely or whoever it is are just the most confusing management team. Um, Trent Frederick, if he stays in Boston, he fits in great. If he comes to St. Louis, brings more grit to us, so I won't be mad. It's just if Doug Armstrong was to make the move and if he wants to be competitive and like he says he does, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. So that's kind of our tinfoil potential trade rumor stir the pot. But our next segment, way too early contract extensions. We got some guys that I think deserve some contract extensions. Lock them up now, secure them for the future. Starting with, my opinion, Philip Broberg with an 8-year extension and $8.5 million. I think that's very reasonable for him. I think that locks up your number one defenseman of the future. I could see this deal happening next year, most likely, or at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think he should definitely get an 8-year contract. I don't know if it's that much.
I don't know.
Um, how much is he getting now? Like 4.5?
4.5. It'd be a $4 million raise.
I'd I'd say 7.5. I think you get it as close to Pareko as you can without being as much.
Yeah.
Um, but I think 8 years is. I wish we could do 15. I love it. Broberg's the future,
Yep. All right.
and so is this next guy, buddy.
Dylan Holloway. I think you got to lock him up. I think it's a 4-year deal extension, anywhere but the 3.25 to 4.5 million. I think he gets a very similar deal to what Jake Neighbors does.
Yeah, Neighbors got that bridge deal at what 3.5 for 2. Um, honestly, I would love to see this bumped up, buddy. Like, I wish
Yeah.
that I think this should be like. I'm just overzealous, and I think it makes sense. Give him 6 years at 5.
Yeah.
And play him your top 6 minutes until the end of time.
Yeah.
I think he's just like he could be a point per game player. It's absolutely insane. And he doesn't even have to play with anybody like Robert Thomas. He was out there with Sunquist and Bolduc.
Yeah.
He was out there with Shen and Saad. He
Yeah.
wasn't out there with Robert Thomas and Cairo. Like, and now he is, I guess. But he wasn't, and he still got this point streak. He's just nuts, dude. And it might just be a hot streak, but I'm gonna ride the high.
Yeah. Until he proves us wrong, which I feel like every game you notice a Dylan Holloway doing something, even if he's not on the score sheet, he's impacting the game. So I think they need to lock him up before his price out like rises too high, in my opinion.
Agreed.
All right. The other one, I think people will be frustrated by this, but Mike and I have had multiple discussions about this. Radek Faksa. I think he could sign a short term deal with us. Um, yes, he's kind of out of that age group, but he provides a stability on your fourth line and is a face off machine. Okay. Grit, defense, will plays for his teammates. I think Radek Faksa gets a 2 year, about 2.5 million. He's making, I think, 3.25 right now. So is a little of a pay cut. He is playing fourth line. He was shipped out of Dallas, but if he wants to test free agency, would not be surprised. But I think Radek Faksa would be a good little buffer for this team.
I think he's 100% your fourth line center.
Yeah.
I think Sonny's the one who needs to leave. I love the guy, of course we do. He's just done, and he plays his heart out, but I just don't think he's got a spot anymore. I think
Yeah.
we need to possibly bring up Dvorsky and move Sonny out just
Yeah.
to move on, and to be better. And I love Sonny. I mean, we'll see,
Yeah.
but I think Fox is the way better pick for a fourth line center.
Yeah. And I think at this point too, and we didn't talk about him as a trade opportunity. Mike and I have had this conversation back and forth multiple times throughout the season. Trevor Zegras, yes, he just got hurt, and hoping for a speedy recovery, but I think Trevor Zegras would be a phenomenal pickup for this team as a center depth. I think he has some skill that I think would flourish under Monty. And you put him around some big body guys like Holloway. I think the assists are going to just bolster and guys are going to start scoring.
Yeah.
But that being said, he is small. He doesn't fit this physicality team. Interested to see, but this team does need a center. I don't know if that's coming from our AHL or it's an outside addition.
I mean, yeah, we talked about it. He's hurt now. He's been hurt for a while. He's kind of made of glass.
Yeah.
We've already dealt with it with Scotty P. We don't really need to get somebody who's getting injured all the time. That's my thought. My other side is like you said, he could be an absolute dog at a third line center, centering Bolduc and Holloway. That'd be a nutty third line. But again, if you can just bring up Dvorsky, who's probably going to be healthier and produce the same amount, if not better, why waste the money and why waste the picks or whoever we're going to trade to Anaheim?
Yeah. I agree.
I just wish he was healthy and it would be more of a legit option. I know there's some people on Blues Twitter that have been talking about him for years, and we'll see.
If we were going to get,
I don't think it makes sense.
If we were going to go a small guy route, we should have went all in and gotten Clayton Keller a couple years back. That's in my opinion.
Went for it.
Should have went for it and got Clayton Keller. But
he loved Arizona, man. He loved it, and he loves Utah, and I'm happy he's there, and I'm happy he's the captain. Shout out Clayton Keller, man.
Yeah,
one of my favorite players in the league.
All right, wrapping up way too early contract extensions before we visit the farm team update. Hofer, 2 years, 2 to 2.5 million. I think that's pretty status quo for where he's at. It's a little bridge deal. It helps you get closer to what the future is for Binnington. And at that point, you can shift because Binnington's contract will be coming to an end and Hofer should be turning into your premier starter.
Yep.
But that being said, I think that's a good value for where he's at. I think he's just going to take some bridge deals until he gets a nice pay raise, in my opinion.
If he's smart, he doesn't really test anything. Like he stays. and he knows that he's going to be the number one for a long, long time if he
Yeah.
performs just the way he's been. And he'll get paid the same way Bennington did. Just got to
Yeah.
help us in the playoffs when we get there, buddy, and then you'll get that deal because St.
Yeah.
Louis loves good goalies.
Yep.
That's why we signed Marty Brodeur.
All
All
right.
right, go down to the farm system, buddy. Run
All
on
right.
through it.
All right. Quick little run through of the farm system, starting with our AHL players. Dalibor Dvorsky on a burner, 22 games played, 10 goals, 8 assists, 18 points, and is a +3. Playing phenomenal, playing great on the power play, developing like we need him to.
So good.
Moving on to the next guy, Kazamaki. Another guy that high hopes moving to the AHL this first season. 22 games played, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points, and is a +4. Doing everything you need and is super young and will have a bright future in him. And I will see him wearing a blue note at some point in his career. Another guy that Steiner brought over from the Sweden world, Marcus Silvergard. 22 games played. He has 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points, and is a +3 contributing. He's playing up and down the lineup. Solid winger. Going to be a vital kind of between the AHL, NHL going forward for us. Last guy that they've talked about, Colton Ellis. Really come out of his shell this season. He's played 13 games. He's got 2.62 goals against and a 920 save percentage with 8 wins. His name has been floated around as a potential trade candidate for the Blues come the deadline because we do have an immense amount of goalie depth. So interested to see, but Colton Ellis also just flourishing down in the minors. Jumping over to our NCAA player, Jimmy Snuggeroo, having a heck of a season. 18 games played, 9 goals, 13 assists, 22 points, +8. He is on the ice when this team is scoring, which then again, Minnesota is stacked, but having a good season. And if they're going to make a long run in the Frozen Four. So look to see Jimmy hopefully sign a contract with our Blues. I pray that he does want to be a Blue and he would contribute very much in this top 6 group.
It would be like obtaining a superstar player in a trade.
Yes,
Like him and Dvorsky being on this team is almost like making a really good trade.
I agree.
And that's how Army operates, as we know in the past. Um, I'm so excited for Snuggerud. I really, really hope he's a Blue.
Yeah, I agree. And then going to the Swedish Hockey League, some 2 other big name players that we're kind of waiting. Some center help in Otto Stenberg, having kind of a rough season. 25 games played. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. He is a -7, which is not what I want to see. But these are, I mean, he's 18, 19, 20, right in that range, playing with men over in the Swedish Hockey League, which is a competitive hockey league. So he is getting minutes this year, which he didn't see as much last year. He is improving. Hopefully, we'll see him in the North American world coming up next year, playing the HL, grow, develop. Going to be important for our team's success. The last guy and the most important, in my opinion, to the Blues' future, Theo Lindstein, puck moving defenseman. He's played 23 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, is a +5 in the Swedish Hockey League. This guy will be wearing a blue note within the next year to 2 years. I could see him jumping the AHL and him being the quarterback of our power play that we need. And very interested to see how this rest of this year plays out. So I think we're in good hands with our farm system. I didn't even hit on the QHL or the OHL, and we have some guys that are on some burners. So look forward to continuing to keep you guys up to date on the farm system here coming up.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex Dean, for being a Swedish guru. And if you really want to learn about the others that are in the QMJHL and the OHL and all that, go to Mike Meyer's Twitter page.
Phenomenal.
He's amazing. He knows everything. Hopefully we can talk to him personally because we'd love to pick his brain. But yeah, there you go.
All right. Kind of jumping into another dear friend of mine, we do have Valent Leather. So got a little stuff on a great leather company. Looking for a premium handcrafted leather goods that can last a lifetime. At Valent Leather Works, they specialize in custom designed leather products made of the finest materials with expert craftsmanship. From wallets to belts to bags to accessories, each piece is crafted with finite attention and detail built to stand the test of time. With a lifetime warranty, elevate your style with luxury that speaks for itself. Valiant Leather. I personally have Valiant Leather products, and I'm looking at getting another one here in the next couple of days. He's working on a wallet for me. Um, please go to his website. He is doing free custom engravings with each order. So just go to valiantleather.com, VALENTLEATHER.com, and place an order, guys. This is great quality products. John is a great guy, great customer service. He is a veteran, and we love our veteran run companies, and he is in the healthcare world with me. So please support John and support local. He has great handcrafted items, guys, and I cannot say more about it.
Shout out Valiant Leather. That leather is premium, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
Shout out for sure. All right, before we wrap it up, we're almost at the hour mark. Let's go into the upcoming Blues games. We're staying in Canada, in Vancouver. You marked this down as a must win. We've talked about it as a must win. We have to come out of this road trip with 3 wins, and this is the final must win game.
Yes.
Quinn Hughes is disgusting. He's the best defenseman in the game, I think, personally.
Yeah.
If you lock down him and maybe you lock down some of their grinders like Garland and Dakota Joshua, shout out. I think you can win this game.
Yeah.
Without JT Miller, I think their offense is kind of lacking some goal scoring, and that's
Yeah.
just personal opinion. I haven't seen the stats. I know that Petey's having a better year finally, but this is the Blues, another kind of statement game. We did it in Winnipeg. Let's do it again for sure.
All right. Followed up to Blues versus Sharks. Mike and I will be in attendance. They are coming home for a quick home game. This is a must win. You can't play down to your competition.
No.
You need these points if you want to be in contention for a playoff spot. Must win. I think they do it. We've played the Sharks really well. Sharks are not a bad team, though, so it should be a good game, but must win, in my opinion, as well.
Yep. All right, and there's one more this week. We're in Dallas. I mean, just got to be competitive.
Yeah.
You have to make them sweat. You got to make Ottinger see a lot of shots. And you know what? Their defense hasn't been as great as I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to be number 1 in the league. They're more like top 10, you know?
Yeah.
So let's take advantage. Let's just drive the offense, baby. And I think the X factor for all of these games I feel like always falls back to Dylan Holloway.
Yep.
And him being able to keep the pace up and drive plays in a lower line than the first line helps guys like Thomas and Kyrou hop on with fresh legs and keep the momentum going and score goals. Let's do it in Dallas. So we got to come fast, come hard early. And I think we're going to do it, man. I have all the confidence in the world with not a lot of expectations. I just want to go in and be competitive, as Army said. And if we do that, I'm happy. And at the end of the day, you never know, that can get you to a playoff spot. All right. Anything else to say, Josh?
No. I think we had a good little episode here. A lot of stuff, a lot of great games. I'm really happy in the direction this team's going, and I'm excited to see where we go. I think there's new life being breathed into this team, and interested to see. Letty is on this road trip, and I'm really wondering when Letty gets a crack back in this lineup. So
I know, yeah. That before we sign off, it's kind of weird that he hasn't gotten thrown in. I guess he's down 100%, and it's so weird. You just never know. I guess he really got hurt on that block shot in October.
Yeah. I think the other thing is you want him at 100% because when you see him come back, some decisions are going to have to be made on this roster. So
right.
I think some big time decisions, some potential moves to open up that space. We saw them get rid of Cappy when we had some players coming back, and interested to see what this roster will look like once Letty's back and what this lineup does.
100%.
All right, y'all. All right. We love you guys. We appreciate you, and thank you so much. We end every episode by saying thank you for letting us talk about the sport that we love and talk about St. Louis and how much we love it. That being said, please do share to your family, friends, and anyone that love hockey. We are really still trying to grow this podcast from grassroots, and we can't thank you enough for how far we've come to this point. So thank you, everyone. I love doing this with Mikey. We have a whole lot of fun doing it, and Mikey, it's always a pleasure. I love you, buddy.
Yes, love you too, bud. Let's go Blues.
Let's go, Blues.
Love you, everybody.